Aaron Hale stood on the observation deck of the orbital station, staring at the pale blue dot of Earth far below. Every day since her friend Joss left for the frontier colony, she felt a hollow ache in her chest. They had grown up together, run through rainstorms and old city streets, and shared dreams of exploring the stars. Now Joss was gone, and Aaron did not know how to reach him each morning. She walked the same path past empty consoles and silent corridors. The hum of the station's engines kept her company, but it was not enough. She tried calling Joss on the station's secure channel, but each time her voice echoed back unanswered. She sent messages filled with jokes and gentle reminders of home funny lines about their favorite snack bar. Her memories of midnight races through the Hulbutt traffic logs showed no reply. Aaron felt sadness like a thick fog. She remembered the day Joss boarded the transport ship. The station docks swelled with people cheering. She had smiled through her grief, waving until the ship slipped beyond the airlock. Now she wondered if her smile had meant enough. Had Joss felt her hope fly with him? Or had life on the frontier swept him away too fast? One afternoon, Aaron paused by the old Cum-Unita, piece of heritage tech from Earth's early days in space. Its speakers creaked, and its screen flickered. Engineers had long since replaced it with faster arrays, but Aaron kept it as a reminder of simpler times. She tapped a rhythm on the casing, the slow beat of her heart, the pulse of human will. A thought stirred in her mind. If Joss could not reach her, perhaps she could reach him on his terms. She gathered parts from the station's scrap stores. A worn amplifier, a tangle of cables, and an old signal projector. Day and night, Aaron worked in the quiet bay, soldering wires and testing circuits. She adjusted frequencies, tuning them to the low-band ranges used by the frontier survey ships. Every failure taught her something new. She learned to listen for the faintest echoes. She reminded herself that humans had built this station from nothing, that they had tamed the void with courage. If anyone could bridge this silence, it was. Her weeks passed. Aaron fine-tuned the device, calibrating it to send not only data but emotion. She recorded her own voice, reading lines that carried warmth. Joss, I miss you. Remember the rain on Earth? I miss our laughter. I am here. She layered the recording with a gentle melody, one they had both hummed on late-night hikes. Her message became more than words. It became a beacon of human hope. On the night of launch, Aaron carried the device to the station's highest tower. The stars extended in every direction, glittering like distant promises. She linked her amplifier to the external relay, took a deep breath, and triggered the broadcast. Her voice echoed across the void, rippling through subspace. For a moment, she closed her eyes and felt Joss's hand on hers, felt the warmth of old laughter. Then came silence. Aaron's chest tightened. She waited, her heartbeat thrumming in her ears. Minutes stretched like hours. She searched the black sky, imagining starships drifting, technicians listening. Finally, a soft chime rang in the cum unit. Aaron's blood leapt. She rushed back to the console, fingers trembling. A single line appeared. I hear you. No name, no flourish, just. The words they both knew would mean everything. Her breath caught. She typed back, It's Aaron. I'm here. The console blinked as the message was sent. Hope sparked through her sorrow. She realized that distance meant nothing to the strength of human bonds. Even in the cold expanse, humans reached out to each other with ideas, emotion, and unshakable resolve. She had built a bridge of sound and feeling, and it had held. That night, Aaron stayed by the cum unit. She listened as Joss's voice came through, rough around the edges but clear. They spoke of old memories and new wonders. Joss described dusty frontier towns and metal skies. Aaron told him about the station's silent halls and her longing. Their words wove together across light years and metal panels. When the conversation ended, Aaron did not feel the hollow ache anymore. Instead, she felt a warm glow of purpose. She had reached beyond her own fear and sadness. She had shown that human silence could become a voice stronger than doubt. And in that knowledge, she found the courage to keep reaching out, no matter how far apart someone might be. Above her, the stars waited with endless possibilities. Aaron smiled, certain that the human heart would always find a way to cross the void. Joss woke before dawn. He sat on the edge of his narrow bunk and stared. At the cracked window, beyond the glass, the colony world lay half in shadow. Dust hung in the air like a fine mist. Since Aaron's message reached him, he felt a spark of warmth inside. Yet he still did not know how to answer her. The old comes array here was weak. Each time he tried to speak, static swallowed his voice. He felt the distance in his chest grow. Heavy again, he missed her laugh and her quiet strength. He longed to bridge light years with words, but he did not know how. He rose and dressed in worn work clothes. Outside, the dusty wind kicked up around broken metal and faded signs. Traders hawked scrap parts and used tools. Joss moved through the crowd, clutching a small data module that held Aaron's recording. He replayed her voice through his wrist. "Speaker, I miss our laughter," she had said. "I am here." Each time he heard it, his heart beat faster. Still, no reply came from him. He pressed his palm against the speaker and closed his eyes. He promised himself he would find a way. At the tech stall, he met Rila, former engineer from Earth. She had turned to trading when the frontier offered no more pay for diplomats. Her hair was streaked with gray, and her eyes reflected the planet's red sun. Joss showed her the module and asked, "Can we boost the signal?" Rila studied the device, tapping her finger on its case. She shook her head. "This is old Earth." "Tech," she said softly, "its range is tiny here. You need a stronger antenna." Joss's hope flickered. "Where can I get one?" he asked. Rila pointed to the east hangar, where a broken survey ship lay half buried in dust. "They used that ship for deep scans," she said. "Its antenna might help." He walked to the hangar as the sun climbed higher. The ship's hull cracked. Under his boots, inside, he found the giant dish, its surface dented but intact. He cleared away debris with his bare hands, ignoring the grit that cut his skin. Then he called Rila on his wrist comm. "Can you meet me here?" She arrived with a carry box of circuits, wires, and power cells. Together, they worked under the harsh light. They cleaned contacts, swapped damaged coils, and fit the dish to a portable frame. Joss felt tired, but he did not stop. Every sweat drop reminded him of human will to create, to solve, to reach out by evening. The antenna stood on a small hill outside the hangar. Joss adjusted its angle to face the stars above Earth. He connected his module and switched on the power. The dish hummed and glowed with energy. For a moment, the dusty wind died. Stars blinked in the dark sky. He pressed play on Aaron's voice and watched the signal meter spike. Then he opened the channel and spoke. His voice came out rough and urgent. "Aaron, can you hear me?" Static hissed, but no answer followed. Joss felt his chest tighten. He shut his eyes and lowered his head. Night settled around him like a blanket. He sat on the cold metal frame and stared at countless lights in the sky. Memories of Earth crowded his mind. The smell of rain in the city, taste of fresh fruit, the sound of Aaron's footsteps beside his. He thought of all the times they had laughed and dreamed together. Now he felt small against the vast universe, but he refused to give in to doubt. He remembered how humans had tamed the void with courage and hope. He knew that silence could be a challenge, and he would not let this distance win. He reached into his pack and pulled out a small data crystal. Inside, he had stored sketches and diagrams, maps of their childhood hikes, star charts they once drew on a holotable. He slipped the crystal into the antenna's uplink port. Then he pressed record on his wrist calm and spoke into the mic. His voice was soft, full of hope. "Aaron, I built this for you. I want to hear your voice again. I miss you." He sent the message into the night sky. It carried both his longing and his faith in human strength. It felt like a promise he could keep. Joss stayed until the antenna's lights dimmed. Then he packed up his tools. He left the dish poised toward Earth, ready for her reply. He felt tired, but his heart felt lighter. Even if no answer came tonight, he knew he had done all he could. He had used his own hands and mind to fight the silence. He had shown that human will could turn despair into action. As he walked back to his bunk, he imagined Aaron's face when her cum unit lit up. In that vision, he found the courage, too. Try again tomorrow. And in that hope, the distance between them felt just a little smaller. Erin sat alone in the station's cum lab, the glow of the console painting her face in pale blue light. She tapped her fingers on the desk, waiting for any sign of Joss. Ever since he sent that last message, Erin, I built this for you. I want to hear your voice again. She felt a spark of hope in her chest. But hours had passed, and no new signal came back. Her heart ached with distance. She missed his laughter and the way he always understood her without words.
Oh, Erin.
Did not know how to reach him again. She leaned over the console and scrolled through the signal logs. Static hissed across the readouts. Hidden deep in the noise was a faint blip too weak to decode. The lab's main transmitter was optimized for data, not simple voice. Erin pressed a button, and the speakers crackled. She closed her eyes and imagined Joss on that dusty world, listening but not quite hearing her. She felt sadness like a heavy cloak. Still, she refused to give up. Erin stood and walked to the scrap bay. She pushed past stacked crates and old machinery until she reached a pile of broken sensors. Her boots clanked on metal. She picked up a small, circular Deshaun old mining scanner that once mapped asteroid belts. It was dusty and dented, but the dish's surface was intact. Holding it in her hands, she thought of all the challenges humans had overcome. They had built great ships on bare rock. If her people could do that, she could build a better comlink now. Back in the lab, Erin set the dish on a support arm. She found extra cables in a storage locker and spliced them. To the dish's connector, sparks flew when she tested her wiring. She paused, her breath held tight in her lungs, then adjusted a loose wire. The sparks stopped. She tightened every bolt with care. Each click of her wrench rang with determination. In that moment, she felt the pulse of human will thrumming through her veins. She would not let silence stand between her and Joss. Next, she tapped into the station's low-frequency channel. That band cut through dust storms and solar flares. She rerouted the signal path so her makeshift dish could broadcast on the same. Range, sweat formed at her hairline as she calibrated the dish's angle. The console displayed a green bar signal strength. It flickered at first, then held steady. Erin allowed herself a small smile. She tested the mic and spoke. Joss, can you hear me? The dish hummed, and the green bar jumped. She felt tears sting her eyes. Hope shone brighter than any light. On the station, she waited, breathing in time with the hum. Minutes stretched long and silent, then a soft crackle came through the speakers. A voice, her voice echoed back, Erin? She sat up straight, heart pounding. She whispered back, It's me, Josem here. The static thickened, but she could make out his words. He said, I hear you. I'm fixing my side now. Erin closed her eyes and let relief wash over her. The distance felt smaller in that instant. She knew they were connected again. Even after Joss's reply, Erin did not rest. She fine-tuned the dish, smoothing out the static bursts. She recorded short messages on a loop, funny jokes they shared, reminders of rain-splashed streets, and simple words of care. She programmed them into an automated uplink so Joss would receive them whenever his system was online. Each message carried a spark of her hope. Each upload proved that humans would keep trying again and again until distance meant nothing. Late into the night, Erin sat by the console and watched starships drift past the viewport. She thought of Joss beneath. His planet's red sky, working by candlelight to keep the link alive. She smiled, imagining the look on his face when he heard her laughter again. She felt proud of what she had built. No royal command. No grand fleet, just human hands and human heart reaching across the void. That was enough. When the station's shift change began, Erin sent a final message before stepping away. Believe in us, Joss. I'll keep building until you and I share the same sky. She rose, her shoulders straight, her eyes bright. Around her, the lab's consoles hummed in quiet solidarity. In that hum, Erin heard the promise of human strength and the power of hope. Distance would not win. Peace would not stay silent. And one day soon, she knew, Joss and she would laugh together again under Earth's warm light. Joss woke before first light, his bunk feeling colder than usual. He rubbed his tired eyes and turned on the small repeater dish he had built. Last night, Erin's voice had come through clear for a moment, but then static swallowed her words again. Joss pressed his hand to his heart, wishing he could reach her without noise or delay. He missed her steady laugh and the way she always found hope, even in the darkest hours. Now he felt distant, as if they lived in two different worlds. Did not know how to close the gap, climbed down to the maintenance bay, carrying a worn toolkit. The Colony Council had pressed him to redirect his antenna to scan for rare minerals. But Joss could not stop trying to talk with Erin. He ducked into a side workshop and found spare circuits and power cells. Each time the automatic lights flickered on, he thought of Erin's pale blue cum lab back on the station. He imagined her there, waiting by her console. She would not give up on him, he would not give up on her. All morning, Joss worked on the repeater. His fingers trembled as he swapped a circuit board, then soldered a thin wire. He tested each connection twice. When a spark flew, he ducked back but smiled at the reminder of human tenacity. People had landed on this dusty planet with little more than hope and grit. They had built homes under red skies and made friends across alien markets. If they could do that, he could fix a piece of metal and wire in a lonely hangar. He took a deep breath and kept going. By afternoon, the repeater hummed with power. Joss carried it to a small hill just beyond the colony's edge. He set the dish on a tripod and aimed it toward the stars. He adjusted the angle until the green light blinked steady. Then he opened the channel and said, "Erin, can you hear me now?" His voice came through rough but clear. He held his breath, waiting for her answer. When none came, his chest tightened. Doubt crept in. He wondered if she had given up, if the silence was final. But he forced his mind back to her words. "I believe in us." He tapped his fingers on the dish, sending pulses of sound into space. Night fell, and the colony's twin moons rose in the dark sky. Joss sat beside the repeater, listening to starships drifting far above. Every time he heard static, he thought of Erin waiting by her console. Then, faint and distant, came her voice. "Joss, I hear you." Relief flooded him. His eyes stung with tears. "I'm here," he whispered. "I won't stop." Spoke in short bursts, sharing memories of rain-drenched streets and starlit hikes. Her words were soft but strong, and he felt the distance shrink with each phrase. After their talk ended, Joss did not turn off the repeater. Instead, he reached into his pack and pulled out a small data crystal. On it, he had stored their old star chart sketches of constellations they had drawn together on a holotable. He tapped the crystal into the repeater's port and sent it to Ward. Erin. The map carried their shared past and a promise of future adventures. Then he added a simple message. "Let's trace these stars together soon." He closed his eyes, picturing her smile when she saw the chart. As dawn approached, Joss packed his tools with steady hands. Felt tired, but more alive than he had in days. He had fought the silence with his own skill and will. He had built a bridge across light years, using little more than hope and determination. He knew that tomorrow he would wake and try again, and the day after that, until Erin's voice was clear, without static. Humans had faced worse challenges and still reached each other. He tapped the side of the repeater in quiet salute to human resilience. Before he went to bed, Joss looked up at the sky painted in soft blue. Somewhere out there, Erin was listening. She would hear his promise in every beep and hum. Distance could test them, but it could not break them. He smiled and whispered into the night, "No matter how far you are, I will find a way." And in that silent vow, he fell asleep, certain that hope and human heart would guide him home. Erin sat in the station greenhouse, surrounded by tall green plants and soft artificial sunlight. The air smelled like damp earth and sweet leaves, but her thoughts were far away. She held a small communicator in her hand, its surface warm from recent use. Every day for the past week, she had listened to Joss's voice, sent through his handmade repeater. Sometimes it came through clearly. Sometimes it was broken by static and silence. Each message made her smile and made her heart ache at the same time. She missed him. truly missed him. The way he always leaned a little too far over railings, the way he said her name like it meant something more. They were still talking, yes, but the distance between them felt real, like a wall of stars, too. Big to climb. And worse, she didn't know how long they could keep this fragile connection going. The station's tech was failing, supplies were low, repairs were slow, and she didn't want their voices to fade away again. She looked out the greenhouse window at the black ocean of space. A small freighter floated nearby, its lights blinking like tiny promises. Suddenly, an idea came to her, not a big one, but just enough to light a spark. She ran back to the lab. Inside the old room, she opened a drawer and pulled out a dusty object, a portable signal drone. It was a small sphere with a broken antenna and cracked casing, but it had a good memory core and a strong booster once fixed. Her fingers traced its edges. She could repair it. Maybe she could send something more than voice. Maybe she could send a message Joss could keep, even when they weren't talking. She worked for hours. She replaced the antenna with a spare from an old solar monitor. She patched the casing with metal from a food tray. She used soft gel circuits to fix the memory core. It wasn't perfect, but it didn't need to be. It just needed to work. Then she recorded something new. Not just her voice, though she added a message. Joss, when you hear this, I hope it reaches you on a clear night. I'm thinking of you. I always am. She also added a music file, one they had created together on Earth when they were teenagers. It was a simple melody made from rain sounds and soft piano chords. It reminded her of quiet days in their favorite city cafe. She knew he would remember. Then she added pictures. Not of herself, but of the places they had been. The stone bridge on River Road, the hill where they used to watch meteor showers, the library roof they once sneaked onto. She added her own sketches of those places, two drawn from memory in soft blue ink. Each image told a story. Each image said, we're not just voices, we're more. With her heart full, she walked the drone to the small launch bay. She adjusted its coordinates to point toward Joss's colony world. She knew it might take a few days to get there, but it would travel fast and steady. She held the drone one last time and whispered, go find him. Then she released it. The drone floated out into space, its small lights blinking. Aaron watched it grow smaller and smaller until it vanished into the black. A strange peace settled over her. She didn't know what would happen next, but she had done something. She had used her hands, her memories, her hope to reach across space. That was the best of humanity, wasn't it? Not just waiting for miracles, but building them from broken things. The next few days passed slowly. Aaron kept working in the greenhouse, kept fixing minor systems, kept listening for Joss. Finally, on the fourth day, a message came through. It was short but bright with feeling. I got it, Aaron. The pictures, song, everything. I watched them under the stars. I felt like you were here. Tears filled her eyes. She replied quickly, I wish I could have seen your face. Another message came soon after. You don't have to. I'm smiling. That night, Aaron stood by the station window again. The stars looked closer somehow. She thought about all the people throughout human history who had written letters, sent signals, flown across worlds, all for the people they loved. She was one of them now. Joss was too. They were far apart, yes. But that was only physical. In every other way, they had found each other again. And deep in her heart, Aaron knew that as long as they kept building, sending, dreaming, they would never truly be alone. Joss sat on the edge of a quiet cliff, the red sun sinking low behind him. His colony job was done for the day, and the air around him smelled like dry stone and warm dust. He held Aaron's signal drone in his lap, its metal surface scratched from re-entry, but still strong. Inside were the pictures she had sent, the rain music, her soft voice saying, I'm thinking of you. I always am. It watched everything over and over. Her sketches made him feel like he was back on Earth, right beside her. Message had lit a fire in him, a kind of warmth he hadn't felt in months. But still, something was missing. He didn't want just recordings. He didn't want just memories. He wanted to talk to her in real time. He wanted to laugh with her, even cry with her right then and there. But the broken tech around him made that feel impossible. The colony's main satellite dish only worked part-time, and power systems were unstable. His repeaters still worked, but only for short messages. Oshuas felt helpless, like he was shouting across a canyon and hoping someone would shout back. He stood and looked up at the stars. Somewhere up there, Erin was doing the same thing, maybe thinking of him, maybe feeling the same ache in her chest. He clenched his fists. He had to do something more. He couldn't keep living in the waiting. The next day, Joss went to the colony's central tower. There, the old transmission equipment still sat too large, too heavy, too broken for most to care about. But Joss cared. He opened the rusted panel, and dust flew out. The inside was a mess of wires and fried chips. It would take days to fix. He had only basic tools, but he had something better than perfect tech. He had determination. Piece by piece, he took the transmitter apart. He found an old circuit diagram in the colony's database and printed it on paper. He used a heat gun to remove melted solder and repatch the lines with steady hands. Every time something sparked or hissed, he laughed at in frustration. But in joy, this is what humans did best. When systems failed, they built new ones. When hope faded, they found a way to light it again. Other colonists stopped by and asked what he was doing. Some shook their heads. One said, "It's not worth the trouble." But Joss didn't argue, just kept working, even when his fingers hurt and his back ached. At night, he returned to the cliff, played Erin's voice again, and reminded himself why he started. On the fourth day, he powered up the transmitter. The machine gave a low hum, rough and uneven but alive. Signal bar on his wristpad flickered. It worked, not perfectly, but enough. Joss stared at the blinking light. The first time in weeks he could send a long message. Didn't want to waste it. He sat down, took a breath, and spoke softly into the mic. "Erin, I fixed the old transmitter. I didn't think I could. But then I remembered your drawings, the music, the way you made that drone work. I kept thinking, if she can do that, I can do this. You gave me strength. So now, I want to give something back." He paused, then added, "Tomorrow, I'll send you a signal map. If you boost your receiver just a little more, we can talk. Properly, not just messages real time, like we used to. I want to hear your laugh when I tell you dumb jokes. I want to tell you about the orange dust storms here. I want you to tell me about your greenhouse. I miss your voice, Erin. Let's break this silence once and for all." He hit send. 8. The signal flew through the transmitter across the stars, aimed straight for the station where she lived. The next day was the longest of his life. He worked, but his mind was elsewhere. He counted each hour twice. He kept glancing at the sky. Then, just before evening, his wristpad lit up. Live connection request. Station Hail 7. His hands shook as he accepted. The screen stayed dark for a moment, then lit up with her face. Erin, his eyes wide, smiling, real. "Joss," she whispered. "Erin," he breathed back. And for the next hour they talked. Really talked. No static, no delay. It's just two people reaching through space, across thousands of miles, through hard work and pure human spirit. They laughed, they cried, promised to do this again and again and again. As the sun dipped low behind the cliffs, Joss looked out at the stars. He felt no more distance, only connection. They had proven something beautiful, not just to each other, but to themselves. Humans may be small in this wide galaxy, but when they love, when they try, when they build with heart, they become unstoppable. Erin leaned against the cool glass of the station's observation dome. Below, Earth looked small, but peaceful blue oceans, white clouds, spinning slowly in the dark. She pressed her hand to the glass. Somewhere far away, on a dusty red planet, Joss was looking up at the same stars. They had spoken yesterday through a clear, real-time signal. For the first time in months, it had felt like he was right there with her. But now, she felt quiet again. Not because she didn't care, not because she doubted him. It was just the truth of space-long silences, long distances, and too much time to think. Every time the signal ended, the empty stillness felt heavier. She missed him, missed hearing his footsteps beside hers, missed his easy smile, missed knowing she could turn and speak without wading through static or lag. Aaron didn't know what else to say to him. They had shared memories, plans, even drawings. They promised to talk every day, but deep down, she wanted more than calls. She wanted to feel close again. She didn't know how to make that happen. She sat on the floor of the dome arms, around her knees, staring at Earth. The station was quiet today. No one walked past. No messages blinked on her console. For a few minutes, it felt like she was the only person in the universe. And in that silence, something inside her whispered, "Don't stop now. Try something new." She stood quickly and went back to the old Comes lab. There in a dusty drawer was a small memory drive shaped like a silver leaf. It had been given to her. Long ago, something meant to hold a message capsule. An old Earth tradition where people sent their thoughts, art, or feelings to the future. Suddenly she knew what to do. Yarn would create something, not just a message, not just a call. She would send Joss something that felt like home. She spent the next 2 days building it. First, she recorded herself walking through the station, her voice describing the places they used to visit. "This is where we watched that comet," she said near the main window. "This is the corridor where you dropped your coffee." Added background sounds, the soft hum of engines, the echo of her footsteps, the beep of a working control panel. Then she sat in the greenhouse and sang the old song they used to hum during repair shifts, just her voice, soft and simple. Recorded the rhythm of her heartbeat with a sensor, and added that too. Finally, she opened her sketchbook and scanned her newest drawings. A dream version of Earth with both of them sitting on a rooftop garden. Under a purple sky filled with stars. All of it went onto the silver drive. She titled it, "When You Feel Far, Play This." When it was ready, she loaded it into a courier drone. Not the fast kind, but the reliable kind. The ones used to carry deep space gifts. She marked it for Joss's colony with a single request: deliver straight to his hands. As the drone launched, she whispered, "Go find him. Let him know I'm still right here." Then she waited. 3 days passed, no reply. 4, 5. Her heart sank each time she checked her console and found nothing. Maybe the drone had failed. Maybe it got lost in a solar storm. Or maybe Joss just didn't have time. Then, on the 6th day, her console pinged. Incoming visual message. From Colony Cinderlight. Aaron jumped to her feet. The screen blinked. Then Joss appeared sitting in his workshop, his face glowing with the light of 1,000 feelings. He held the silver drive in his hand. "Aaron," he said, his voice warm and full. "I played your capsule last night. I listened to the sounds of the station. I heard your voice singing, saw your drawings. I watched it all with my hand on my chest because it made me feel like I was home." He paused and his eyes grew wet. "Even out here in the dust, with broken wires and cracked floors, I felt you right beside me. Thank you." He looked into the camera. "I want to send you something too. Surprise. You'll see soon. But until then, just know I never feel alone anymore. Because you reminded me what humans are capable of. We don't stop. We don't wait forever. We make connection happen." Aaron smiled through tears. Joss ended with one sentence: "I love you, and I'm building the rest of our future one signal at a time." The message ended. Silence returned, but it was no longer heavy. Aaron stood taller. In that moment, she knew there lived there. Hope was stronger than space, stronger than silence, and stronger than distance. Because they were human. And humans always find a way.